Good morning and happy Monday. That's about the best impression I can do for Mitch's intro here. Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Live Trading here. I'm going to be your host today. Ryan, Mitch, and Zunaid are both out, but don't worry. We are going to have some fun regardless. I've got a special treat for you. We've got Andy from Mighty Soldiers Trades joining us, and OG Trades joining us too from Strat. So if you've checked that out, you'll be happy here today. So let's go ahead and get rolling.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Those words have been dancing around my head all night. Oh, it's Vegas lore, that phrase.
Kiana.
Fisher.
Joy.
Joe. Cards drawn are the past, ones to come are future.
And the best part, it's beatable.
Good morning, everybody. As Gary is saying in the chat, don't forget to hit that like button. Go ahead and support us. I'm your host, Ryan. Again, Mitch and Zunaid are going to be out today. They should be back this week, though, so don't go too far. But don't worry, because I went ahead and got you some special guests. Let's go ahead and bring them on. Andy from Mighty Soldiers Trades. Andy, how you doing?
Good morning, Ryan. What's up, man? I love that intro.
Yeah, me too, man. I'll never get tired of the intro. What can I say? I'm a sucker for those. Also, OG Trades mid-drink. I don't even know if I could have timed that better had I have tried. OG, how you doing, man?
I'm doing awesome. Yeah, you couldn't have timed that perfectly. And of course, I'm the one like mid-drink, like, ooh, okay. But yeah, that intro is absolutely awesome. I love that movie 21. It's great.
Yeah, it's fun. We like to have some fun around here with the assets.
Oh,
yeah. So, all right. So for those of our viewers who don't know, you remember they're used to seeing me, Mitch, and Zunaid, and they know my antics already. But for those viewers that maybe haven't seen you as often, both of you, if you wouldn't mind giving me a little brief intro and you know who you are, and then also what you trade, so they know what to expect today. Then we'll dive into some tickers that we're looking at here ahead of the open.
Yeah, sure. I guess I'll go. So for those of you guys that don't know me, I've been trading for the last 14 years. I was a prior military. I was a non-commissioned officer in the Army, was deployed in Iraq for 18 months. And that's actually where I started trading. So I started trading in a war zone. So this is simple. If I can do it from there, I can do it in my office. So in the comfort of my own home, I don't have to worry about mortars. So going to the MWR and being able to get on E-Trade and to trade stocks, that's how I got my entry. And I just got bit by that bug. And when I got discharged from the military, then I was lucky enough to get an internship with a hedge fund. They were looking to bring in soldiers, which was awesome because, it's near and dear to my heart to bring other soldiers in as well because of the fact that we are really good under pressure. Non-commissioned officers are really good at making decisions with the least amount of information as possible. We're cool under pressure, at least try to be cool under pressure. And, it kind of just blended well. Ended up wanting to become a trader rather than just a fundamental analyst. And unfortunately, I wasn't given the shot to be able to do that. I think I may have been too good at fundamental analysis that they didn't want me to trade, or that's what I'd like to tell myself. Or it's just, you got to know people to get into the, hedge fund trading business. And I just wasn't part of that pedigree breed where I wasn't an Ivy League kid. I came from the military. So I ended up saying, you know what, I'm going to do this on my own. And so I did. And I was not very successful for 3 years. Unfortunately, for 3 years, it took me some hard lessons to learn. Reached out to my mentor that I have and I currently still speak to. And it was just as long as I traded price action, that's what changed everything for me. So that when I stumbled into the strat a year and a half ago, I was like, I got to teach people this because Rob Smith simplified price action. And so easy to communicate, simplified it. I can talk to Andy and I can just tell him, hey, we're inside on the day. And he's like, oh, okay, that's a one scenario. Or I'll tell him, hey, we just had a 2-2 reversal on the day. on SPY to the south side, and he's like, okay, he without even looking at the chart, he can just see it, and you can too, because I mean, you've been indoctrinated a little bit with the strat. So
absolutely. So you're doing day trading primarily here. You're looking for like scalps, reversals. Is that about right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I trade futures. That's
Okay.
my bag. So I love trading the ES. I like focusing on one thing only, get really good at it. I do trade other stocks and options and things like that, but that's just more for fun, market participation. So I scalp the ES. I'm looking for a few points here and there, rinse and repeat, and just stack money. And in my live trading room as well, I always talk about how I just want to use the market like an ATM. I want to be in and out, give me my money. I walk away. I just stack cash all day long that I try. Well, not all day long.
Awesome. Well, so this is what I would say, OG, since this is not a strat focused program for the most part, I would say that as you're starting to see things, or as you're going through your prep for as long as you stay with us here today, maybe drop some of those nuggets on how people can kind of know what an inside day is or what a 2-2 reversal is.
So absolutely.
We can kind of go over that. It'll be a nice little educational boost. I do use that sometimes. We do talk about it, but it's not the crux of what we're doing here. I think it's funny though. I absolutely do feel indoctrinated, at least in some regard, because I started looking at reversals and price action a little bit differently after reviewing what Rob was teaching here, and price. Day trading, right? Price action is one of the things that you follow along the most. So
absolutely,
really that. We'll get back here to you for a couple of stocks that you're looking at. I know you just said you're trading the futures, so maybe you can tell us about a setup there. But in the meantime, Andy, why don't you tell our viewers what kind of stuff you're trading? How did you get started in this?
Okay, I started by watching some videos. Well, I got started before this, but anyways, let's fast forward a bit. Watching some videos of a guy that was getting up in the morning, literally 5 minutes before market, and he was turning on his scanners, and he's talking about how he's doing really well, showing off all his stuff and gadgets, whatever he's got, cars, I don't know. And I'm thinking, man, I saw this Tim Sykes guy, a long time ago on the news, and he's this penny trader, making a bunch of money. Penny stocks must be the hottest thing. After watching a bunch of penny stocks through an email that I don't even know how I started getting. I got an email that's showing me like this thing's ripping, blah, blah, blah. Telling my wife that, I'm going to buy it here at 90 cents. I'm going to sell it at $3. And then I start doing this, and I'm like, wow, this is nowhere near exactly what I thought it was at all. I touch this thing, and it just knocks me in the face. So trading for me has been really, learning more about growing as a person and, becoming just better husband, better everything, just because of understanding how to deal with the emotional roller coaster that comes from trading. If somebody offends you in the world, you might get really ticked off. You might want to say something back. But in trading, we have to learn, and in life, to be strong and sort of let that go. Lately, I've been trading SPY options too, and Qs. Like I'll go long SPY, short Qs, same time. It depends on what's going on with the penny scanner. If there's anything that has follow through, and for the longest time now, I've not found much follow through in the penny market. And speaking of reversals, we have that potential one right now. I'm looking at the MES as well, and this thing looks like it's not looking so healthy at the moment.
Yeah,
but yeah, I got hurt in the army too.
I don't think Tesla. Oh, sorry, I don't think Tesla can save this one right now.
Right.
Tesla gapping up here today, though. Maybe the news of Elon's poll on wanting to step down from Twitter is going to help Tesla and give us some trading opportunities. You never know.
Yeah,
that's certainly what it seems like today. So we'll
sorry, Andy, didn't mean to cut you off there, but you're looking at the MES and like my ears rang, and I'm like, oh wow, it's forming a bit of a shooter right now.
Yeah, but basically just with what OG was saying earlier, I got hurt in the army. I'm not I didn't go overseas. I got hurt here, anyways.
Stateside.
But I found that through this like COVID, people they lost their jobs or due to COVID or whatever, and I had a lot of people that were disabled and just I found a great community that we could just trade together and stuff. And it wasn't really about making money. It was just about hanging out, cracking jokes, and talking about what we're seeing on the screens. And we had a really great time. And basically that's where it's been for me publicly, is just sort of hanging out and trading and enjoying each other and trying to do our best. And like he said, bringing former, prior service in and everything, or we had sheriffs and everything. Like, you don't want to lead these guys wrong. So I want to tell everybody my mistakes. I want to show people what's going wrong in my trading rather than, hey, you can make a bunch doing this.
Yeah,
and that's just where I'm at.
Yeah, well said. You guys are going to fit in quite well here. So I went ahead and shared my screen. If you guys have anything that you want to share, go ahead and do that. I'll go ahead and put it up. Andy, I know I'll pretty much drive here for you on any of the tickers that you want. OG, you got anything? You got something ready you want to talk about on your screen?
Let's do a little bit of that education you were talking about real quick. Okay. I just want to highlight when we're talking about inside bars, ones, twos, threes, we're talking about the different scenarios with the strat, because we like to say that we know the universal truths of how price can trade. You're either going to consolidate, you're going to find direction, or you're going to expand the range that of price. So right now we're currently trading an inside day, so that's a 1. We're not able to break the high or the low of that previous candle, so it's a 1. The 2 is a directional, so it's either going to be 2 up or it's going to be 2 down. That's how we speak. So it's either going to break the high of that previous candle or the low of the previous candle. And as I go through these just real fast, I'm always saying the previous candle because this works on any time frame. So whether I'm on the 1 minute or the year, I'm talking about the previous candle. I'm not talking about the previous day, week, month. We will get into some things like that, but that's not what we're going to talk about right now. Then the last scenario is a scenario 3, which is an outside bar. So you're able to take out the high and the low of that previous candle, or the low, then the high. Either way, you're taking out both sides of that range. So that's a quick down and dirty of the numbers, the scenarios, and we use these scenarios in combination with each other. So as you know, when I was talking about if I say we had a 3-2-2 reversal to the downside to Andy, and yourself, you could kind of like visualize that, hey, we just had a 3 that went directionally up at first and went directionally down. So that's the simplicity of the strat in understanding how price can move. So right now we're inside and we're forming what we know as to a shooter. I'm sure it's called something else. There's so many Japanese names to it, but as long as you've got a longer top wick or top shadow, whatever you want to call it, that's a shooter to us, right? We just simplify things. You know, a hammer is going to be one that has a longer wick to on the bottom, longer bottom shadow. So that's really all we're looking at. So that's as simple as I can make the strat right now.
Yeah. So you're pretty much just going to be trading the S&P futures here, right? You're looking for the broader market and you're looking to capture some of those reversals. So looking at the S&P right now, we're down here this morning. Looks like we're going to open lower here. Are you looking for a bounce? Are you looking to get short here? So give me a roadmap for what you're looking at for the day.
Absolutely. So what I'm looking at is I like to use the anchored VWAP. You know, hats up to Brandon Shannon. He's done a lot of stuff with you guys as well. With the anchored VWAP, I love anchoring the VWAP daily because it gives me a little bit of bias. And I use that term bias very loosely. I don't want to go in with blinders and just say, oh, I'm only going to, you know, go short today because that's my bias for the day. I like to trade VWAP because it's used industry wide. And so you get nice plays off of VWAP where you can get a nice bounce or look for direction or a mean reversion back up. I play many different scenarios, but my key scenario to anybody that's trading any type of price action or newer traders, I like to tell them trade the inside bars, trade the 1 scenarios, because that inherently gives you less risk because it's less of a range. You're consolidating, and after consolidation, you get some expansion. So what I look for is these inside plays above VWAP. I like to be long because we've all heard the trend is your friend. So I want to be on the right side of this trade. My higher probability trade is to take an inside setup that I don't take the short because I'm above VWAP. I want to look for the reversal, this 1-2-2 reversal. So you had a change you had a shift here in direction. So the 1-2-2 back in the direction of the trend, you already had a nice move up. Ignore all of this consolidation. Wait for your setup. Wait for it to pull back into VWAP, and then take a 1-2-2 reversal back in the direction of the trend. And that's where I like to lock in a few points here and there. Really, I'm looking for 2 points, 3 points, 4 points, just in and out. And I can rinse and repeat that over and over again. And when I get so my win rate is typically anywhere between 75 to 82%. So if I can maintain that 72 to 85% win rate, then it just becomes a matter of scaling. So rather than just taking one ES contract, I'll take multiple. I'll take 2, 3, 4. So even if I do get 2 points out of it, then I'm at least making $200, $300, $400 a position. So that's what I like to do. I like to scalp. I like to snipe these in and out. Not that I'm sniping highs and the lows. What I'm doing is I'm just sniping my entries, getting in, getting out. You know, it's in the military. It's always I'm up. I'm up, they see me, I'm down. That's my mentality when I trade ES. So if anybody knows, yeah, there you go. Hey, you got the shirt too. Look at that. I'm up. So anyway, so that's to avoid getting shot. Okay. So when you move from one point to another in the military, you always say, I'm up, they see me, I'm down. And so that's how I treat this and just treat it like an ATM. So directionally, but directionally, and I'm trying to get as much as I can in here for you just because I have to head out in about 5 minutes, but directionally, I'm not biased one direction or the other because we're still inside of Friday's price range. So I'm not going to say here that, the ES or the S&P 500 is going to bleed all day long. We don't know because we're still consolidating. Just go down into those lower time frames and find yourself a winning position and defend it with a tight stop.
Okay. Good stuff. Appreciate that. And real quick, I see some people joining us here a little bit late. What's going on? Mitch and Zunaid are out today. It is going to be the holiday week, so we're a little bit different on the scheduling, but we're very, very fortunate to have two friends of Benzinga join here as special guests. So hopefully we get a little bit flavor of some different type of trading here. Don't worry, I am going to run down some stocks here. We got 10 minutes before the market opens. And yes, folks, I know that you guys were talking about it while we were given the intro there. COSM, which we've talked about quite a bit here, offering news this morning, and it is plunging. So after the humongous day that we had here on Friday, looks like we tried to bounce this morning only to have offering news. So we will go over some of this. OG, was there anything else that you needed to get to there? I didn't want to cut you off
no,
here. I know you're on a
good
timetable.
You're good. No, I just know that we were talking a little bit about Tesla, and I didn't want to take in too much of this futures content, but I do look at multiple things. But like I said, I look for inside setups. So what I do typically is I'll run a scanner real quick just so that you guys get my inside setups here on what I'm looking at for today. So I'm looking at Pepsi. Pepsi is the one that I'm really looking at today. Just wanted to toss that out there because Pepsi's done very well and then ended up kind of falling with the rest of the market just to consolidate. So Pepsi might see some strength here. We're kind of range bound between 175 and 185. So we have about a $10 range that I would like to see it kind of consolidate a little bit more and pop up to the highs. And that might start with the daily setup like we're seeing here, inside and up. So here pre-market, what we're looking at is we're going to be inside yesterday's or Friday's range. So it's going to give us an actual entry here. So I'm looking to go long. Let me get my high real fast and my low, because this is the one that I'm looking at for this week. And NVIDIA looks like it's another good one as well, but I'm not going to talk about semiconductors just yet. You guys can cover those, but definitely looking to go long at 180, 119 if we can go in reverse here. If not, I can take it to the short side at 178.48, and I'll be looking to play this back down to that 175 range, back to where kind of we're range bound a little bit. That's what I'm looking at.
Okay. Awesome. We'll keep an eye on those. And like I said, I appreciate you stopping by. Whenever you need to hop, go ahead and hop. But just in case I'm rolling or midway through something, just wanted to thank you for stopping by here and helping us out this morning. We really appreciate it. Couple of quick things. Number one, yes, happy Hanukkah to all those that celebrate. We started yesterday, so happy Hanukkah, everybody out there. I will go ahead and roll through some here, and then Andy, I think what we'll do is I'll roll through some of the stocks that you're watching as we lead up to the bell here, real quick. So let me go ahead. First things first. We talked a little bit about COSM. MDGL, right? This is Madrigal Pharmaceuticals, up 200+% today. Gigantic catalyst here. Madrigal Pharmaceutical shares are trading higher if the company announced Resmiri. I don't even know if I can say it correctly. Resmetirom. Okay, we'll go with that. Achieved both primary endpoints in NASH and liver fibrosis trials. So congrats if you were holding this. Looks like you are having a nice, healthy payday here today. I'm not going to try trading this. This is extremely extended here. I don't have enough knowledge about what's going on here. I'm not a biotech guy as it is. To me, my risk meter says, go somewhere else here today. Look somewhere else here today. But we'll keep checking on it. I mean, this is obviously a huge move. We'll see if this raises the tide for anyone else in this space. We should be able to see that here today. Just understand what's going on with MDGL. Just massive move here this morning. We talked a little bit about COSM, so I'm going to keep moving down the list here. We'll see where COSM settles before we actually open here. VKTX, this is Viking Therapeutics. Shares are trading higher in sympathy with Madrigal. So there we go. First one here on the list. Now you can see what we did here is we actually carved out a pretty huge range, right? So this stock was about $4 on Friday. We were as high as $8.20 here in the pre-market. So we're bleeding, we're leaking back down. Really what I want to do is I want to have this find support. In fact, I'm not even interested in this to the long side until we can end up finding support somewhere. Got to have that reversal in order to trade this to the long side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to mark some of these levels on the way down so that if and when it curls, we'll be as prepared as possible on the way back up. VKTX trading in sympathy with Madrigal. We'll see where this finds support. We'll see where this ends up going after the open. SLNO. This is going to be another one. I feel like this is another therapeutic company. Can't recall if we've traded this one here before on live trading or not. This one also in sympathy. Looks like shares are trading high. Oh, no, excuse me. Soleno Therapeutic shares are trading higher if the company announced a financing commitment of up to $60 million. So we shall see. This was as high as 170 here in the pre-market. Again, we're leaking a lot of those gains back. Does look like we've tried to find some support here around 113. We'll see if this support ends up holding. Next thing I'd like to see here is a 130 test. And if we can break that, maybe we test 140. So pretty decent range in here. I've got the VWAP currently at 127. So right about that first resistance level if we do end up turning around. Remember, what we want to see here first is to make sure that we're at the bottom. We won't know that until the market opens here. And I'd love to see some expanding volume to the upside. I'm going to skip over the ETFs. We can talk about those as they produce setups. But Tesla, remember, I talked very, very briefly about this. Elon Musk creating a poll, should I step down? And then saying, should I step down as the head of Twitter? Excuse me. And then saying, I will abide by the results. So we'll see where that ends up going. I suspect that Tesla fans and Tesla bulls cannot create accounts fast enough to vote in that poll. That would be my best guess there. So we'll see where this ends up going. Tesla up today, coming back in, but Tesla gives us day trades all of the time. So we'll see where this actually sets up here today. The other one, let's go check in on COSM and see where we're at here. Actually, excuse me. First, I did want to hit two that Crow had mentioned here. This is Agrify, is another one of those penny stocks. We were as high as 55 cents. We've really come back into about 37 cents. Same deal here. We want to find some support before we curl back to the upside. Again, with this being a penny stock, I'm just going to pass on it. But the chat did go ahead and mention that, so it's worth mentioning here. Let's go ahead and also mention IPHA, which is not a penny stock, but did have a nice move here up to 292. We've come back in and we're kind of sitting at this 265 support level. We do have a catalyst here. Innate Pharma shares are trading higher after the company and Sanofi announced an expansion of their collaboration for natural killer cell therapeutics in oncology. Innate will receive 25 million euro upfront payment. So that sounds pretty good here. We really need this to find some support. As you can see, it looks like we're actually breaking through that 265 to the downside. I see a couple of people mentioning BBIG in the chat. So BBIG looks like we're trading up here this morning. Looks like we're getting a little bit of a spike here. We'll see where BBIG goes once the market actually opens. Now, as far as COSM goes, remember, Jay Rice? Really good call here, Jay. Factor in the reverse split, and it's really at 38 cents. So what is Jay talking about? Well, if you take a look at the chart here, remember, this had a reverse split. That reverse split took effect on Friday. So we are pretty much right back or near that 38 cents before all of this craziness. So really good shout there, Jay. Something to keep in perspective. Now, real quick, that's about all I got. We are going to flip to the scanner here as soon as the market opens. Don't worry. We want to try to make as best of as we want to try to make as many good trades as we can. Sorry, I'm not used to hosting. I lean on Mitch quite a bit. Before we get open here, Andy, is there anything that you want to take a look at? Is there anything you want me to pull up here?
I mean, basically, I was just going through my rapidly rising and my top percentage gainers, and I was going through exactly what you were going through there. And we can make some notes about those a little later, but I think that OG you are getting out of here now, or?
Well, I just got into the Discord and I let him know that I was going to be maybe about a half an hour late. I've got a counterpart that can handle it here for about the next 20 minutes until he's got an appointment he's got to go to. So I will have to hop off here in about 15, 20 minutes. So I just wanted to hang out more. I can't being here with Andy and Ryan. I'm like, I can't leave. I gotta play in the sandbox a little bit.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally get it. I totally get it. It's a trap. It's a trap, man. We lure you in. We have fun and good times all the time. And before you know it, you want to stay and cancel your other commitments. But believe me, I get it. But I'm glad you got another counterpart there. Real quick, Dan, nice to see you this morning. Happy Monday. Dan shouting out YQ. This looks to be a Chinese education name. We're as high as $2 here. We've come back in a little bit. This one looking a little wild. Market is open. Good luck, folks. Let me flip over to the scanner and we will see what we can find here today.
Now, Ryan, one of the things that I was talking about, I think when you were going through MDGL there, you could see that it had like this bull flag, like that's penny traders are always going to talk about the bull flag because that's just about all you see. You see these straight spikes or bull flags. You see the flag doubled, then it doubled again, which is exactly what you're looking for. But then you were pointing out that it pulled back, it broke support of that nice flag there, and it just looks like a cliffhanger that's ready to die. And I mean, that's one thing that I've learned about penny stocks. When I got in here, it's like, okay, this is that textbook setup. So I'm going to grab this and I'm going to put my stop in here and everything. Instead of doing that so much now, I look for that textbook setup and then I let it breathe first and let the stock sort of come to me and tell me what it's going to do. That way, if it does drop off of that cliffhanger and I grab it, then I can put my stop really tight in there and I'm good to go,
Yeah, so it sounds to me like that's actually, you're setting yourself up right there, right? You're trying to use proper risk management ahead of the trade to make sure even if this doesn't go in your favor, you're still going to be protected.
Yeah, once you've been burned so many times, you start to really wear protective gear. Say
that again.
Once you get burned so many times, you start to wear protective gear,
Yeah, that's true. You end up not wanting to get burned again. So VKTX here, pretty much right down to this 531. First move here is down. It is bouncing, but this still seems a little weak. Actually, wow, we got a 20-30 cent bounce right there real quick. VKTX, nice little bounce here. We'll see if this can materialize. Pretty decent volume here. One of the things that I'd like to see for this play is I actually like to see this volume continue and then maybe take out some of these levels. $6 looks to be the next test here on VKTX. If you take this, I'm not in this, but if you take this a little early, just make sure you have a plan in case this reverses. COSM now, first move out of the gate was down. Looks like that is bouncing. Remember, this has a huge range now given the trading day that it had. So the trading day that it had on Friday, excuse me. So that first move down took us to about 867. Looks like we bounced within 1 minute candle, bounced an entire dollar here on COSM. So unsure if this is really going to move higher, but obviously this is giving us an opportunity to trade it here today. So just COSM not going away even after the offering, not going away. Mingo says Mitch looks different. Yeah, I bet he does, Mingo. Mitch and Zunaid are off here today. They will be back though. They'll be back this week. Mitch, I think tomorrow, by the way. All right,
hilarious, man.
Yeah.
Say again.
That's just hilarious.
I'm not sure which one he was referring to, but it almost doesn't even matter. BBIG here, that spike right before the opening bell, we bled some of that back here, but it is trying to hold in here at that 72 cents on BBIG. Let's see what else we see out here.
Yeah, I'm just watching the SPY. I'm watching the S&P 500. We had that initial little pop here at the open that got us back up into the point of control here on the daily volume. So I'm what I'd like to look at when I'm sniping the ES is I want to see if we can get back up to the point of control, which if people aren't familiar with the volume by price or volume profile, the point of control is where the price was traded the most so far. So from our open, which is 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm looking at this price right here at 38.83.5 as being the accepted price between buyers and sellers. And if you're thinking about this like a market, what you're looking at is, hey, if we accepted price here at 38.83, are we then going to find buyers to continue buying higher prices, or are we going to end up flushing a little bit more? And I was able to catch this 3 to the downside. So this outside bar, I was able to get in on the short side and was able to write it down for a few points to take out this low right here. I know you weren't sharing my screen, but I was able to catch a win there. I'm not sure whether you guys could see that. I know you guys in the green room were probably looking at other things, but was taking out these lows right here from the London session. So going into the London session, that's where we saw a little bit of a run up, then went and popped up. So finally took that out. Looks like we're going to take out some of these lows from the after hours trading that happened on Friday. And if we can find buyers there again, that's where we're probably going to find some here at that 38.72 area. I do like to use pivot points as well. Pivot points are, this is another little educational nugget. Pivot points are used at an institutional level because it takes the subjectivity away from traders. It's an objective number. It's the high, low, and the close of that previous day, the previous trading day. Divide that by 3 and you get your pivot point. That pivot point is then going to let you know, hey, if we're trading below that, we're trading on the lower range of the previous day's range. So I'm going to be somewhat biased to the short side. I already touched on VWAP. So if I'm below VWAP and below the daily pivot, I'm really want to take these things short. That's my higher probability trade, and that's where I'm going to see a little bit more of my win rate. Okay. And then even more so, I zoom in a little bit more because typically you'll get retracements and you don't know why you get retracements there. So what I like to do is, because the Fibonacci's can be somewhat subjective as well, I like to take my Fibonacci levels between these pivot points. So between the pivot and the S1, which is my first support level. And I can see here at the 382, that's where we kind of stalled out, which is the entry into the golden zone. If you guys aren't familiar with Fibonacci's in the golden zone, this is where retracements typically happen between the 382 and the 618. So if I can find price end up coming back into this zone, I'd be looking for a retracement back up to the highs, even if it is going to take me against the trend. I've seen it happen too many times where you get retracements in the middle of nowhere where people are like, wait, there was no support and there's no support and resistance there. But if you pay attention to these golden zones between the pivots, that's what I like to refer to as my Fibonacci's. You get it? You put those two together.
Well done.
So, yeah. So with my Fibonacci's here, just so that I can see, hey, here's that 382. If we can't get into the golden zone, this is where we're going to potentially retrace, and I would be looking for a 312 back up into the point of control or VWAP, and that's kind of my trading style in a nutshell.
No, if you don't
okay.
mind. Go
Real quick here. Sorry, Andy. Real quick. Armed. So one of the stocks that we're watching here on the scanner, Armed actually popping here. This is actually a really nice daily formation, right? So Armed, we've traded this before. That's where some of these lines were the last time when we were coming up out of this base. Armed here, nice little move and a nice little formation on this daily chart here. So a move above 630 probably sends this a little bit higher. If we zoom into the day chart here, let me actually get a 5-minute chart here. You can see we've pushed right out of the open here. We did break above 6 briefly, but for the most part, we're rejected there. So I'd look for another setup, maybe through 6 here. 630 would be the first place to peel that. So sorry about that, Andy. If you have anything, be happy to take a look at that. Looks like SLNO also moving here this morning. Crow, you on SLNO? Nice little move right here above 140. Let's see if this can go. This probably takes out 170-ish if we get up there. SLNO. So I'm a little slow to this just because I've got a lot going on here, but great shout there, Crow. Is exactly what we were hoping for. That is a strong start. Here we go, right up to that resistance level, literally happening live as we were talking about it. Gotta love that. 160 going to stop at first. Looks like 170 going to be your next spot here. We shall see. SLNO. Great shout there, Crow. Great shout there.
Yeah, I'm not interested in trading something this cheap, but we have CEI.
Yep.
Interesting stock for some news. It's of recent, that you guys might know or may not know, but we're up at resistance here on this one. But one thing I wanted to say is range, magnitude, and magnitude of range basically is very important when you're trading penny stocks or anything. In penny stocks, I'm looking at that as this is how much pain this thing can give me, I have to know how much pain this stock can give me to understand how big of a position I'm going to put in there. I don't just want to put like a $60,000 position in some garbage 13-cent stock and then say I'm going to stop out at this price because it's going to blast right through my stop and I'm going to go broke, right? So that's really important. But then when we're talking about the strat, and we're talking with OG, what he's saying, we're talking about maybe Netflix or just the SPY, MES, whatever it is you're trading. These broadening formations, they help us to understand the range and the magnitude of the range. And they help us to understand that we're not just looking at a stock that's going up today and it's going to break resistance and just keep going up, 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 up. It's not a stock that's just going to go down to support and it's going to break support and keep going down, down, down. Typically, when you look back at all the days, you can see that these broadening formations on the intraday or the weekly or whatever, that they are. I have a great friend, Ramon. I'm sorry, Raymond, if I'm messing up your name. I just said it 3 different ways, so I got it right.
No, you got it. It was Ramon.
One of those times you got it.
Yeah, one of those times I got it. But man, guy is a genius. It's beautiful to see how this man thinks, and when it comes to exactly this. So if you really want to know about this stuff, go talk to him. He'll be the guy to talk to. But just having that understanding, though, that stocks are not just this one direction. Hey, I'm making money because it's going up, going down. I got to let these things breathe. I got to understand how they trade, how price discovery works, right?
Yep, you're absolutely right on that, Andy. And I'm sorry, right as you were talking there, SMMT, nice shout here, W, from our community here. Thoughts on SMMT? SMMT has been one of these that we've traded off the scanner with really good success. However, in this sideways formation here, there's really nothing for me. So what I'd like to see is actually have us come back in towards balance, maybe right where we were here this morning. Don't really see any catalyst to get this going, and I don't see the expanding volume that I love. So W, to answer your question, what I would like to see here is I'd like to see this break out of the sideways consolidation. Looks like it's trying to do that now, and I'd really like to see the volume step up here. The volume steps up here, we should be able to get in and out of this on a scalp or on some type of day trade. But right here, we're kind of in no man's land. I do like the push. I like how we're pushing the top side of this range, just don't have the volume yet. Humble says, these 2 guest traders have good commentary. Well, yeah, they're awesome guys. That's why we brought them on, Humble. But thank you for that. I'm sure they love hearing that. Guys, I just want to thank you again. You guys are doing a great job here helping us out this morning.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. I mean, it's a blast. I like seeing how other traders trade, and you guys are awesome at trading these smaller stocks. Not necessarily smaller, but they're cheaper stocks. And I like to trade some things that are typically a little bit more expensive. And so
let me let you into that. Let me let you in on the little secret there, because I'm the same way, right? So normally for the show here, we got 3 guys that are looking at 3 different things. And our thought here is we want to be able to cover as many different setups as possible. And by the way, if any of you have setups while I'm flapping my gums here, you're welcome to let me know. I'll go ahead and throw those charts up. But as far as OG, one of the things that's been going on with me, especially this last year, as far as this last year goes, is I'm just trading what the market is giving me, right? I'm not trying to force things. I prefer to swing trade rather than day trade. If it was a perfect world, I probably wouldn't make many day trades. I do more swing trading. That's generally where I get the better gains. But the market really hasn't been giving me that. I am a long bias trader. So one of the things that's impressive about what you're talking about is you have a plan in case the stock goes up or down. You're looking to get short just as much as you're looking to get long. I'm not that way. My trading has evolved to really kind of focus on what I do well. And it turns out that I trade things to the upside a lot better than to the downside. By the way, SLNO making another move here. Let me go ahead and bring it up.
Saw that.
Yep.
And if anybody is looking at the ES right now, we've got a nice 3-1 setup, another rejection off the point of control, still staying below VWAP. So we might get a nice 3-1-2 to the downside. I know there's not a lot of stratters here, but we lovingly refer to that as the Chicago to the downside, or the South Side Chicago over here, because you know the 3-1-2, Ryan. So so I'm going to have an order there placed and ready to go, where I'm going to have a sell stop order ready just 1 tick below that 1 to take advantage of this setup where I've got nice expansion the first 5 minutes, consolidation the second 5 minutes, and now we're going to pick a direction. Are we going to go long or are we going to go short? And in this situation, because I'm below the pivot and below the daily VWAP, I want to take this thing short. So I'm going to have a sell order here, and then I want to have a buy order ready below here, because this is my next level to the downside. So just a quick heads up here within the first 15 minutes of the trading day. Go ahead and go to your screen.
Yeah, no, that's actually really awesome. One of the things when I see pin action like that, when I see a lot of that back and forth action, I like to just kind of sit out or sit on the sideline. So it's actually great to hear a plan of attack there. One of the things that I was looking at here is SLNO. This did push right back up to that 156 spot that stopped it the first time. If we break above 156 here, I would imagine 169 test going to be on deck. And if we continue to get expanding volume, we might actually be able to take that level out. So real quick, just to kind of get back to that, OG, we've got three different traders here, and we try to trade different things. Zunaid is an option king. He likes to do option YOLOs. He likes to trade a lot. He often will be very aggressive, even right out of the gate. Mitch is more of a tactical chart trader, right? He will look for setups that manifest on the daily, hourly, and 15-minute, and then try to trade them. He also prefers to swing trade, but given the environment, sometimes we can't do what we prefer. And as far as myself, and in a market like this, I'm looking for anything that's going to be repeatable. And trading some of these smaller I also really like the Crow's comment here. He says, OG, they're not cheap, they're affordable. It's all about
there you go.
So
Absolutely.
Crow, to take that one step further here, to trade those affordable stocks, a lot of these seem to react similarly, right? So when we first started doing this, we were having a lot of success with range breaks to the upside. And if you take a look at SLNO here, what I mean by that is when the stock actually takes out the top side of this, or the resistance level that it gets to, it would tend to pop and it would tend to move. And it was that movement that we were trying to capture as profit. So I'm not in this stock, but as this moves up, we'll see if we take out 156 and move to 169. As the market started to get a little bit more difficult to trade, we started to notice that these upside breaks were not working as much. And instead, where the stocks would kind of find support and then start to curl back towards the top, those would end up paying a lot better. So what we're doing is we're trying to have three different traders on the desk give different setups so that people can learn different strategies and then go for what works for them. One of the things that happens in here that's pretty funny, I have learned in my own trading that trading stocks under $1, trading some of these penny stocks, like Andy was talking about CEI, we talked about COSM before it actually did its reverse split. I dislike trading stocks that are under $1 because they don't behave the way I think they should behave. They don't behave like these stocks that are between $1 and $10. They behave differently. So I just don't trade them. But a lot of people in the chat actually really like it. So we try to keep that on here. By the way, SLNO being rejected from that 156 again and pulling it back here.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that off to the side as well. And so just a heads up on that ES play. So that ES, I was able to catch that for a 2-point win because we went 3 and then double inside. So it consolidated even more. So it consolidated for 10 minutes. I took that inside 2 down. I was trying to, I wanted to get your attention a little bit so you guys could see the type of scalping that I do. So I was able to get 2 points off the break of that low. Take a break of that low, take it with size, take it with conviction because I'm below VWAP, I'm below that daily pivot, so this is a higher probability setup. I was able to catch 2 points off that, and that's why I play in both directions. But I trade it with size when it's in my favor for that reason, because getting 2 points off this with 4 contracts, easy $400 player.
Nice job, OG. Nice job. And Jesse, giving some props here too. Jesse, let me go ahead and highlight this. Man, these guys are killing it with their wealth of knowledge. That's what we do, Justin. That's what we do. We bring out the knowledge can.
Wow, look at that flush. I'm sorry. Look at that flush right there. What's going on?
Hey, man, I love it. This is exactly what we're talking about, OG. So I'm not a futures trader. So I love the fact that you're on here able to give an actionable futures trade and then walk through the process. We are all about process on this show. I absolutely love hearing it. Fantastic stuff, my man.
All right, thanks, man. I appreciate the feedback.
We had a question earlier for you. Is your 5-minute chart your favorite? What's your favorite time frame? I know that you're using multiple. What's your favorite time frame?
All right, so when I'm trading live for the first 2 hours of the day, I like to show many examples. So I'll trade the 5-minute. If I traded my favorite time frame, which is the 15-minute, okay, I love the 15-minute. That's like my Goldilocks time frame. The 5-minute, you'll see a lot of entries, but there can be some fake outs. I like to have a little bit more duration and time to really give me a sense on what that candle is trying to tell me, because I'm always asking myself, what is the story that price is trying to tell me? And the longer a story I can get based off of how that candle moves and the anatomy of that candle, I prefer to have that information. However, I'm trading the 5-minute more so that I can have more examples to showcase in my live trading and here, for example. But I love the 15-minute because I know that 3 5-minute candles make up that 15. 4 15-minute candles make up the hour. 2 candles make up the half hour. It's very divisible for me, so I can visualize that 15-minute time frame, and I'm like, okay, the first 15 minutes just closed, and if it continues to go up, I know that the 5-minute candle went 2 up and it went directional, and I can visualize this because I've had enough screen time within the last 14 years that I can do that without having to have multiple screens. Like, my setup is literally just one so that I can do production on YouTube and the Discord and all that stuff. One screen where I can see news events, Benzinga stuff, all that type of stuff, and then one chart. Literally, the chart you're looking at right now is the only chart that I trade off of. And that's it. I don't have this elaborate setup because I figured keeping things simple is the best way to go for new traders and for experienced traders. I've been doing this for 14 years, and I found that just having one chart, one setup, one screen avoids all the nonsense and all the other garbage that just clouds judgment. So that's what I prefer.
Yeah, I'm with you there too, and it's funny too because my evolution. And really quick, while we were talking about that, VKTX, shout out Jay Wild, nice on the heads up here. VKTX did move through that 6 line that we were talking about, so now we're actually breaking back towards the upside here. We're also through the VWAP. I think a build above the VWAP here probably sends us towards the 655. If you're looking to trade this up, well, here we go. Looks like it's going a little bit quickly here. So if this pulls back, holds the VWAP or holds that 6 level, that might give you another opportunity to enter here. But that 6 cross through that VWAP should have confirmed it for you. Looks like 655 is next here. OG, one of the things that I have kind of gone through over the course of my career is very, very similar to that. When I first started, I was hungry for knowledge, right? So I was watching every video I could. I was reading about every indicator that I could. I had clouds and EMAs and all types of different stuff on my charts.
Yeah.
But the reality is that the more I went through it and the more I actually practiced it with real money on the line, I realized that simpler is better. If I'm doing too much analysis in the moment, I'm liable to make a mistake or I'm liable to paralyze myself. The simpler I keep it, the better I'm able to do. And it was one of those things where I added indicators to charts and then I stripped them away and I finally settled on something that worked for me.
Yeah, at least you stripped them away. That's the thing is sometimes, I like to take a scientific approach to it. I just strip it down to its bare essentials. Just strip it down to pure price action and then start adding things. This short here is still working out very beautifully. I was able to take it again in this on the 1 minute. There was some consolidation. I'm just going to show this real quick. This was an inside candle that went 2 up, 2 down. That's one of my favorite setups where it's a 1-2-2 rev strat. And I know not everybody understands that terminology, but nice little push down to continue this downward momentum. So I'm liking to see that. But I do have to hop off here and get to the live trading on my Discord here with Sepia Group, which is the home of the strat. So if you guys want more information on the strat, go to sepiagroup.com. That's where you'll find Rob Smith, myself, Strat Soldier. Strat Soldier's been on. You've interviewed him. Good stuff from him. But yeah, I do appreciate the opportunity. But yes, strip it down and then start slowly adding. So going back to my initial thought is treat it like a scientific process. You have to have a control group first. Your control group needs to be something constant. And the only constant thing that we have is price action because we're trading. So keep that the same. Trade price action. Then add something like a VWAP. Then add something like the RSI or whatever you want to add. But then if it doesn't work and it starts to hinder your progress or your performance, take it away. Take it away because that did not work for your trading. All right, go back to what worked, but you're not going to be able to go back to what worked unless you have something that's your base level of information. All right, I'll leave you guys with that. Thank you so much, Ryan. I appreciate the opportunity. Hopefully you can have me back on soon.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day and then giving us extra time on top of it, plus all of the lessons, plus the live futures trade. OG, you're really knocking it out of the park. I got to say, we keep having guests like this. We got Luke Jacoby in the chat. If we keep adding guests like this,
you're going to need a bigger boat.
We're going to need a bigger boat, folks, because we're going to have all of the gains here in the market. OG, thanks so much for sharing a bunch of your time here this morning.
Really, not a problem. Not a problem. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome back anytime.
All right. Take care.
All right. Take care of yourself. That does
Thanks,
not
Andy.
end the show, though. Andy and I are here to hold it down for you. Andy, looks like the only thing I'm really watching here in terms of trades is this VKTX. We're halfway through this particular setup. One of the things I will say here, if you did take this through the 6 line or through the VWAP cross to the upside here, now that we've got a little bit more movement here, I'd probably raise your stop so you can ensure that you take something away from this, even if it is flat. Looks like we're trying to hold the 630 here on the next move up to 655. Andy, you see anything out there? I'd be happy to put it up here on the chart.
Well, honestly, Brian, just talking about VKTX and all these other penny stocks, in the trading world, when you're new to trading, when I was new to trading, you look and try to figure out how this is even done. Like, what is this stuff, right? And there's a lot of like paid courses and everything. And some of these paid courses, they're going to teach you a rounding bottom. They're going to teach you bull flag breakouts in the penny stock world, They're going to teach you maybe some volume contraction to look for institutional ownership or whatever. But what I've always told everybody is, let's say we are looking at this rounding bottom. We are that's previously spiked, or we're looking at these bull flags or whatever. I've always said, bring it into your body. You've heard me say it several times. It's like catching a football. You don't just stick your fingers out and let your fingers get snapped off when the football's coming at you full bore. You bring that into your body. You curl your body. You absorb that energy. And basically, I don't know. I just think that sorry, Ryan.
No, you're good, man. I feel the same way. I mean, for me, when stuff is coming up off the bottom, that's honestly where you're going to find out whether this is going to make it or not, right? A lot of the times, if a stock is really kind of coming in and trying to make a base, trying to find some support, trying to make a bottom, that process can be messy. It's not necessarily cut and dry. And actually, the minority are going to be those V bounces. So one of the things that I like to see, like I don't necessarily know that this is going to be the intraday bottom for COSM, but a couple of things that I'm going to be watching to determine that is going to be, well, first of all, is there any type of momentum? One of the things that I'm seeing here is that we're definitely trying to attack this 10 line on COSM. The bulls are trying to get this to bounce. We want to get this to bounce. If we take a look back towards yesterday, right, this stock was as high as, I think this did get 24 prints, maybe not, maybe real close, 23 and change here. We've bled back more than half of that. We're trying to bounce it here this morning, but the reality is that we're running into this resistance here at 10. So this bottom that it's formed here, this is going to be one of these near-term bottoms. And when we're coming off that bottom, I'm looking for any type of indication that this is going to hold. To me, the next stop here is going to be to clear out this consolidation zone. If we're able to do that by breaking above 10 and making a move towards the VWAP, which is about 1050, that's a really good sign for coming out of the bottom. However, if we're unable to break this, especially after the multiple attempts against this 10 line, I think we're probably going to test the downside of this range, which puts us right about 875. And I think all of that work that we did for this particular near-term bottom is just going to evaporate really quickly. So the lesson here is that as you start to move out on time frames, as you start to identify those different bottoms, the longer the time frame, the longer that bottom should hold in. It's not a hard and fast rule, but for the most part, that's what happens here. And if you take a look at the daily chart here on COSM, it looks like our more of a near-term bottom here. Remember, this is post-split. Our near-term bottom here is going to be more like 650. So when we're examining the near-term bottom here on the 1-minute chart, we're several dollars higher here. Again, just have an idea of where those different levels are. Let's see if we can actually take out 10 to the upside.
Well, Ryan, sorry, I have a sick kid here, and half my house is sick, including myself. But anyways, to go back to what I was saying there, you can pay for all these courses that tell you all these setups, right? But one setup that I don't ever hear anybody talking about is something that OG touched on earlier. It's consolidation into range expansion, right? So we got a spike, and we have this nice pullback, and then you have what you're showing us now, even this nice tight consolidation. Once we're in this consolidation, we're inside, even more so, getting tighter. There's only one place to go. We're going to expand one direction or another. So It's really making our trades easy. I'm sorry. I'm a snake handler. I've owned a lot of venomous snakes. And when
how are you still alive? How are you still alive, dude? I would be scared out of my mind. I like snakes too.
The first time that I ever handled a Western Diamondback rattlesnake, I was at this animal safari, and they sold me this quite large Western Diamondback, right? And I had seen the Crocodile Hunter, and so I knew what I was doing. because I'd watched the show. That's all I had. That's all the information I had, dude, was that show. And so what did I do? What I've seen on shows, I grabbed him behind the head. And one of these times when I was grabbing him behind the head, he starts literally, because their fangs fold out, he starts biting through his lower jaw, trying to get my hand behind his jawbones there, So I start shaking, and I'm like uncontrollably, like getting to the point where I cannot believe I'm in this situation. I'm holding this extremely dangerous thing that can kill me, and it's trying to kill me. So I had to put it on the ground. Then it scurried underneath the dresser, which is really cool to have to go underneath the dresser to get this thing out. But my whole point is, when I was an amateur, I grabbed this thing by the head. I did this twice back then. I never did it again. After that, I always grabbed it by the tail and I controlled the head. And that's what we should be doing with our trades. We should let these things, instead of grabbing them for these hype moves that you hear all these people teaching, we should wait for this thing to come in, consolidate, and give us an indication of what's going to happen from there. Be patient with the move rather than just, I got to get in that FOMO. That FOMO is going to lead us into destruction. But if we wait, if we can patiently sit and wait, it's so easy. We're either going to stay inside, we're going to go up, or we're going to go down. And we can have a plan for all of those.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I got to say, this is a live trading first, right? We just related the lesson of patience to snake handling. We've never done that prior to today, but here we are. Andy, I don't know how you did that. If that were me, that would have scared the absolute me. I mean, forget it. That would have scared the out of me. So good for you. Glad you're okay. Anyway, while we were talking about that, VKTX actually did exactly what we talked about, right? So here we go. Anatomy of a trade. We were button up against this 6 line. We tried to do it initially here right out of the open, couldn't quite get there. The second attempt towards the 6 line, we actually broke it and were rejected at VWAP, but we came back down and we curled right back through 6. We actually went right through VWAP. We've kind of back tested VWAP now. Then we pushed right through 655. Crow here says VKTX wants 7+. Crow, I'll be honest with you here, unless things change, I'm with you here. Even on this pullback, I would expect this pullback to maybe hold right in here, maybe even a little bit lower. I would say it probably shouldn't break the bottom of this candle here. What do we have here? Low is 646. So realistically, this should kind of hold in right here. And then the top of this candle, here we go. Top of this candle, 675, looks like it is trying to go right away here. So VKTX seems to be our trade of the day here. You guys want me to start cursing? No thanks. No thanks.
Ryan, would you mind putting some Bollinger Bands on your 5-minute there?
Say again?
Would you mind putting Bollinger Bands on the 5-minute for that?
Nope. Let me go ahead and do that. Let me clear off the VWAP, throw up the 5-minute, and add Bollinger Band. Did I spell it right?
Just type in B and I think it comes
up.
Yep.
I spelled it right. Bollinger Bands. Here you go. Do you need me to color these so that they're easier to see by chance?
I can see them. I don't know about the audience, but this is just what I wanted to show right here. I didn't believe in having any of this on my charts before, but as you can see, we just got a perfect real body rejection right off that upper band, and it is holding in the near term currently. So this is about what I do. I look for predictable areas of rejection in my trades. So the 65 EMA, if you want to slap that on there too, you'll see some, this is basically what I trade when I'm trading penny stocks.
So, you know what's funny, Andy? The other day, there was somebody asking me about the 65 EMA for day trading. And I was like, I wish Andy were here right now. He would be so happy that somebody else knew about this organically. I will say, I'm looking forward to some lessons on the 65 EMA. So just to kind of lay this out here, this thicker kind of light blue line, this is going to be your 65 EMA. Your Bollinger Bands are going to be these thinner lines here with the middle line being red. So just, I know I'm kind of driving here for you, but just to kind of give you an idea of what you're looking at, here it is. That looks like that did come off the 65 EMA.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I mean, this is my bread and butter whenever I'm trading pennies when we got some action. If it's really, see, pennies had dried up and the volume really wasn't there. So even if you touched it and they were set up, it wasn't really working out too well. But like this is exactly what I'll grab. I'll grab that 65 bounce, with a tight stop underneath it. And then I'm looking for the first area of predictable rejection. That's that upper band right there. And I can take partial profit, let it ride, or else I can, just take it all off.
All right. Great news here. The 65 EMA guy. And Eric, I do remember, I try to not shout people's names out, but thank you for volunteering the information. Andy, the gentleman that asked about the 65 EMA is Eric, and he's here in the chat today. So really, really exciting. Before we go into that though, Becca shouting out here, BYSI. Let me go ahead and bring that up here. That looked like that was moving here. It looks like the recent move here is down. Let me go ahead and pull this chart up here, Becca.
Man, look at candle by candle on the daily though.
On BYSI?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here, so real quick, as you can see here in BYSI, one of the things that the hallmarks that we look for here on this show for potential day trades are when we set up those highs and lows, especially from the pre-market, do those highs and lows get taken out? BYSI, that's exactly what's happening here. Took out that high, back tested it. Now we're taking the next leg up here. Let's flip over to that daily chart here. Here are those candles that you're talking about, Andy. This thing really kind of started at around 50 cents and has really had a good push off that 50 cents here. And the interesting thing here too is that we've actually taken out this resistance here at about 225. So it looks like that was work that we started to do on Friday that we then did again here today.
Can I ask you to do one more thing, Ryan?
Yeah.
You can't talk about the 65 EMA without talking about its relationship to the 200 EMA. So if you wouldn't mind, could you put the 200 EMA on your chart there?
I wouldn't mind at all here. Let me go ahead and add exponential moving average. You said you wanted the 200. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
200 EMA added, and we are on the daily chart.
So what I'm looking for here on most daily penny stocks is where are we in relation to the 200 EMA? And we just broke out. So what I'm expecting is an upper shadow and for us to rest real body right below this. That's my take and what I usually look for. I'm not saying it's going to happen because stocks can do just about anything. We all know that. It tells us a different story too if it blows through these things. So we see these as predictable areas of rejection, support, resistance, whatever, the 65 to launch off of and the 200 to reject off of, especially if we have a declining 200 over that rising 65. It doesn't mean that, like I said, that it's not going to blow through it. But if it does blow through it, we're like, oh, the 200 doesn't work. No, that's not the case. It's telling us a totally different story. And it's telling you that this thing's so freaking powerful at the moment that these things have no power over it,
So would you be waiting, like now that we've moved through the 200 EMA here, are you actually waiting for a back test of this level, or what's your signal here for the next trade? What's the next event that you're waiting for, that you're looking for here?
Well, candle by candle, we just broke out and it looks like we're about to pull back inside the previous candle.
Okay.
And if we do that and I had shorts available on something like this, I would actually take a short with a nice tight stop at the just above the highs.
Okay, there you go. Much appreciated.
And if you don't mind me saying also, when I first started, it was the doubling the bull flag. Like that was a really good setup. Or you heard like Dekmar talk about the U-shaped breakout, man, like U-shaped breakout, which is the rounding bottom off of a spike or whatever. But, anyways, what I've been seeing a lot lately is a lot of these bull flags or whatever setup it is on pennies, small caps, or any of these, $20 stocks, whatever it is. I'll see this consolidation up there. The expectation that's going to go higher, it'll spike really nice upper shadow, pull back inside. And when it pulls back inside, it's beautiful. I mean, how much easier does it get than a false breakout right before your eyes that's set up perfectly? And now you can go ahead and grab that short if you got shorts available on that. Shorting obviously has its own risks, but just
I was going to say, for me, Andy, I don't think anything on the short side is easy, but that's just me. That's just me. Real quick, I did want to check in on MDGL here. Lloyd saying MGGL guys, crazy gains. Look, so we talked about this, Lloyd, before the open here. We had really good catalyst here on Madrigal. Shares are trading higher if the company announced, I'm not even going to try to pronounce this drug's name. I butchered it the last time. Achieved both primary endpoints in NASH and liver fibrosis trial. So what you're getting here is a gigantic pop. Now, if we zoom in today, you can see that we did actually hold this 192. One of the things that I had said here is that this is extremely extended, and a lot of the times these stocks at least retrace part of that move here. Well, we didn't get that. We got more continued strength here. So we really held this 192 quite well. We actually took the next leg up here. Now, if we zoom in on this formation, where do we stand? So this 221 level that I got off the daily, I was eyeballing it. So it looks like we actually ran into some resistance here. Wouldn't be shocked if this pushed again right through this top. The top that I have here, intraday high, is 219.68. We're currently at 219.80. We actually just took that out here. So it looks like we're trying to break out higher here on MDGL. If anyone took this, congratulations. This one a little bit too risky for me, given the 200% move that we were looking at here in the pre-market. However, you're getting that next leg up. First move here was some profit takers down to 192. Huge reversal here, and it looks like we're actually trying to break out some more. 221 looks like that is coming. Lloyd, good stuff. VKTX coming back up. Andy, I'm sorry I'm jumping all over the place, but there's a lot going on here this morning. So Jay Wild giving us an update on the Twitter poll. Twitter poll, they want Snoop Dogg to run Twitter, LOL. I love Snoop. I'm not sure if he's the right person to run Twitter, but I don't make the decisions there. Absolutely hilarious what's going on there in Twitter. So
it's the MySpace guy, Snoop Dogg, and I think Mr.
Tom
Beast.
from MySpace was the other guy.
Yeah, and Mr. Beast.
Oh, you got to be kidding me. That makes my morning, honestly. That makes my morning. No, Tom from MySpace hasn't got a mention to do something in a long time, since like 94. Here we are.
I mean, he needs a job, I guess. So
he needs a job. MySpace ain't around anymore. By the way, VKTX here. So your high here is going to be 677. This to be looks like the next spot. Is that real, Ryan? Kindred, these are rumors floating around from this morning. I have no idea if Snoop Dogg is actually in the running to take over Twitter. We're just talking about some of the rumors that are floating around out there. Don't take that as gospel. Lisa Lee, not a fan of Snoop Dogg taking it over. Not a fan. All right, VKTX looks like we are actually coming back up here for that 675 break. Let's see if we end up getting that. Man, I think we just
pushed a little higher in that BYSI as well.
So again, a lot of stuff going on. Let's check BYSI. And Andy, I'm jostling some of the indicators here. So I did add all of those studies to the chart. I may need to turn them on and off depending on what we're looking at here. Here is the BYSI. This is just kind of riding the top end of that Bollinger channel.
Yeah, another thing that I can add on this BYSI, and the same thing with the SPY, right? So I have my idea of whatever setup that's comfortable for me, that I think that I would want to trade on there. But I have to first go to whatever the trend is. And if you look candle by candle on that daily, we got this is daily. I usually have a weekly here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days continuously higher, 6 days continuously higher, right? At least, I don't know.
This is the sixth consecutive day higher. You are correct.
So I mean that we have to take that probability, slap a percentage on that, and what we're willing to do with our trades. And if I'm going to go against that, that's counter trend. I have to have tighter stops. I have to control the risk on that a lot more. Same thing with the SPY. If I'm saying, okay, we're going to go back to the highs now, we're going to start beasting out. We're back into a bull market. Anyways, it's, if you know the book, it's a bull market. Jesse Livermore.
I got it, man. I'm sorry.
But as this thing, when we look at it, it's very clear that there's this descending channel. So we got this perfect rejection and perfect support where it just keeps on going lower. A likelihood of it going higher right now and going back into a bull market, I have to slap that probability, slap that number on there. So what I'm willing to do with it and what kind of risk I'm willing to take.
And just to kind of further that point, the fact that we actually broke above Friday's intraday high on some pretty decent volume is encouraging. We can build above this, or if we can see some increased volume expansion here, that would be pretty good for this trade as well. Just going to kind of jump around here and take a look. One of the other things I wanted to talk about as far as MDGL, I talked about as far as day trading, wasn't going to be on this here today. Certainly looks like this is pretty good formation here. But if we take a look at the daily, there are a couple of things to keep in mind here. So number one, first thing that we're getting here is we're getting a large island. So, excuse me. Some of the things that we've talked about, some of the daily formations that we've talked about here are the floating island formations. And you're actually getting the start of one here. Now, the great part about floating island formations is that this first day, when it makes this huge move, when everyone's day trading it, when everyone's flipping it back and forth, when everyone's going crazy from the brand new news that they're getting, if we're going to try to swing trade a floating island formation, we're actually going to wait this out. We're not even going to participate in some of this madness, because what I really want to see here is I want to see the range that this candle puts in. Now, interestingly enough, looking at this right here, we actually have 221 to 192 as the range. And you'll notice that where I got those numbers from were from the daily, right? So as I zoom out here, one of the things I did is I marked off some of these other important levels here. And what's interesting is that the candle that we currently find ourselves in is right in that range. So will this hold today? I don't know the answer to that. I will reapply some of these lines to this candle once today finishes. And if we get any type of back test towards this 192 level, that might be an opportunity to swing this long for a floating island trade. We'd like to see this resolve here to the upside. So we'll see if MDGL sits up. That's one of the things I'm going to be watching here today. Not trading it. Definitely gave up on this a little too early here. The interesting thing here, I wonder if Zunaid would have traded this. I know Zunaid's a tech guy, really likes options. Let's actually see if this chain is even liquid to begin with. Let's see how hard this is.
Yeah, that's the first thing I look for when I'm trading options is how liquid is it. Look at the bid-ask spread, see if it's actually ticking through each number.
Yeah. And Andy, the other thing here is that we don't have the strikes, right? Because this is such a tremendous move here today. The CBOE has not added strikes. The biggest strike we have, at least that's being displayed. Let me see if I can change this. Yeah, the largest strike I have here is the 120. So options not viable today, at least not until they add some more strikes to this. So we shall see. Let's keep it rolling here. What stocks do you folks want to take a look at?
COSM is halted.
Which one? COSM is halted. Let's bring it up here
right now, and a really strong move off the lows, as well as a really strong move off the lows here in the SPY.
So this just a volatility halt here? We just a move off the low and got us into a volatility 10-minute halt?
It says that we're expected to come out possibly at 10:17:02.
Okay, so 5-minute halt. So it's going to be done here pretty soon. Crow, looks like you were nailing COSM here today. Good stuff, my man. Lloyd, you want to take a look at NRG? I'll bring that up here real quick. NRG Energy. You said it looks decent. Like a little bit more context than looks decent here, but we'll take a look. Actually, the intraday chart here looking pretty good and actually giving us a pretty nice formation. Let's take a look at the daily and see what we see here. So this is going to be one of your energy names, definitely at some support here. So maybe we can reverse. Got a nice little gap here between what? 37 and 40 and a half. Nice little gap in here on NRG. I think the first level that we really need to trade back up here is this 35 level. That would be my target for today if we continue this reversal.
We got a 179% ripper here, AXLA, looking like it's pulling back to the rising 65 over on the 15-second as well.
AXLA, this is one of those pennies, isn't it, Andy?
Yeah, this is one of them really cheap ones that typically they're just. I don't know when you discovered that you didn't really like these, Ryan, but a lot of these things dried up with time too.
Yeah. So I discovered that I didn't like them as I continued to take losses on them. And the reason that I continued to take losses on them is because they were just not behaving the way that I thought they were going to behave. I had a plan. I had my levels all drawn out. I, reviewed the news as best I could for what that stock was. The pennies just don't seem to work for me today. I'd love to pick up. Do you trade any of these pennies, or do you generally stick to some of the higher price stocks with your trading? I know that you really
I will trade just about anything as long as I can see that it has the liquidity. It's got to be blazing through both sides, bid and ask. I got to see that it's going through, that it's eating both of those. I can't see that it's like stuck and that we're lifting the ask and that we're trailing the bid. And I touch this thing, it's going to go right back to the bid. Then they're going to drop the bid on me, and now the bid's going to become the ask, and I'm screwed. Like that's one of the worst things with these stocks right here. Is that's exactly what happens. You buy it, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, that becomes the ask, and now we're trailing. Even just not good.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. For me, it has not been a good affair. So let's see on COSM. Crow saying COSM alt unhalted going for 10. Looks like did we halt again here? We sure did. Halted again here, 1067, huge spike up. So here's one of the things to keep in mind. Now, I know that we're halted here, and full disclosure, you'll hear me say it all the time on these. I generally speaking don't like to trade stocks that are a part of a halt fest. I don't want to be in and out of a stock that has a propensity to get halted multiple times during the course of the day. One of the things that I will say is that if it's a halt on volatility, much easier to kind of be able to trade that. But again, sometimes I've seen stocks get halted and then not get unhalted. So to me, that's just, I try to avoid it as best I can. However, given what just happened here, we unhalted, we had huge volume, we blasted right through that 10 level that we've really been trying to break through since the open here, right? So this first candle at 9:34, 4 minutes after the opening bell here, we tried to make a run at 10. We were unable to break it. We tried again at 9:39. We tried again at 9:46 and again at 9:52. And then we actually broke down. But that wasn't the end of the story. Boom, nice little push up here. We're through 10. We went pretty much right to the VWAP. Let me hide the 65 EMA for now. Happy to put it back on at any time if we need to review that. But for right now, looks like we pushed right up to the VWAP here. So here's my question for this as a potential trade. What is the next move? Now, assuming that the halt opens and we don't immediately reverse, I would say that the next move is probably going to try to clear out this consolidation area. I think your first stop is probably going to be 1150. Now that's an entire dollar higher from where we at. So let's see what happens when this actually unhalts. Halt in the up, Ryan. Check out COSM. Yep, we're on it, Crow. Sorry, I think I got to that a little bit late. My apologies, my man. Good shout here on COSM. We are expected to resume here pretty soon, aren't we?
All right, so one problem with this is I didn't get to see if we halted on the ask or the bid.
Yeah, I didn't actually see it. I think the ask, a lot of the prints here were all 1067. They all look like buy prints to me.
We went right into that 65 on the 5 minute as well.
Yeah,
so
I think so.
We're going red or black. I'm going to go rejection. I could be wrong.
Let's see where we go. Crow, do you remember? What do you think is going to happen out of the halt here on COSM? You've had actually a pretty good eye on COSM today. And I want to I know we're waiting on this one, but I also want to roll through the scanner here and see what else is going on. It seems to be the same names, right? Names today seem to be VKTX, SLNO, BYSI, and COSM. That seems to be the big traders here today. Summit actually holding up. Summit taking that next move higher. Here we go on Summit. Look at this formation, folks.
Yeah, look at the strength on the SPY off the lows here too.
Yeah, actually huge bounce here. Good call there, Andy. Looks like the market is bouncing and we're going along for that ride. You know, what do you think about the SPY here? I know we've spent a lot of time in some of these individual trades, and guys, I'll go ahead and bring up COSM. I'll watch it here on another screen. I'll bring it up when we get unhalted. But Andy, what are your thoughts on the SPY in terms of like the longer outlook, like what we've actually seen recently and where we might go at the beginning of the year next year?
Well, I mean, basically, just for my daily trading and stuff, you know, if I see that we're inside, like we were pointing out earlier, which we are, I believe.
Yep, we are inside on the daily, correct?
You know, and then I see that we are nice, like bowling with bumpers. Let's say you threw it at the side and it bounces all the way down, you know, and it just keeps on and bouncing within that channel. I'll go short and long. Like I'll say, okay, now's a good time to go long, and then if it goes against me, I will put on my equal weighted hedge. So as to see if it will come and hold that support instead. So maybe I chose the direction wrong. Instead of going up, it was going down. I'll keep my underlying thesis or trade, and then I will take off my hedge at that support level. If it breaks the support level, I will just stop out of my original trade because I just now gave myself this much more cushion in the chart that I didn't have before. So now it's still the same as me stopping out up there, except I got to go and give it a little more time to work and figure out what was going on. And if my underlying thesis plan was correct and it continues to go back up now or bounces back towards resistance, sometimes I'll get to take profit on my short and my long in the same trade. Many times, that's where I get a really big head and I start thinking that I'm like the king of this thing. And then I get slapped down really bad because there's something that happens with the chemicals there or something that once I start thinking that I'm too good at this, I end up losing a little bit. So anyway,
let me tell you, there is no mechanism out there that will humble somebody quicker than the U.S. market. COSM open. First move here is to the upside. Let me go ahead and bring up the chart. Was watching BYSI there. First move here is to the upside. Let's see where we end up going. Looks like we're kind of pulling back here to the VWAP, and nice little big pull there all the way down to that 1014. This is still all over the place. This right here, that action, that candle that you just saw live right there, this is why I really don't like trading some of these halt stocks. It's really all over the place. It makes me, it feels as if I don't have a good feel for it. It feels as if I can't apply sensible technical analysis to it. And then I feel like I'm just kind of, in no man's land, not able to make a whole lot of trades here. We'll see if this resolves here to the upside. COSM still strong here, still pretty good volume as well. In fact, this is the biggest volume stick of the day, or it's approaching the biggest volume stick of the day here. Wow. And now we're breaking
you do
down.
want to throw that 65 back on there on the 5 minute just for fun, but I could just tell you guys it just rejected perfectly off the 65 there. But
oh my god. I should have had this one on the whole time, Andy. Great call. It's rejected perfectly off that 65.
I mean, like I said, if it blazes through it, it's just telling us a different story. But looking at the flow, looking at the dark pools have been selling this, and then everybody's been buying it up all day. Like the smart money behind the scenes has been buying this thing up. So that to me says that this could be a total trap. But hey, we'll wait and see, right?
It's a trap.
We'll see. We shall see. We're actually, I'm impressed that we're trying to hold it. It looks like we're trying to go higher here. Stopping at 1075, no doubt. My time in sales is actually, oh no, you know what? I thought it was frozen here, but I'm actually not current. Here we go. All right, so we'll see what kind of ask there is at 1075 and see if they can break it. This is definitely a wild one here, running right up into that.
Here at this, what is it, 1267 or so, or 1270? If we break through there, I could see this thing easily running up to like $12, 1202.
So Dan real sharp with our momentum trades here. There it goes, by the way, CSOM through that 1075 here. It looks like it's trying to build and push above. Dan saying COSM had a big engulfing 15-minute 915 candle going into the open with its highest volume. Okay, so you're talking about the pre-market, huh? Although I think the candle here from, what time is this? 9:23. So that would be, 10:23 because I'm on Central Time here. This appears to be the biggest candle of the day, at least on my charts.
The real problem, though, is we got to contend with the previous candle on the 5 minute at 1092, even if we do break through and hold above that 1070. But
Crow's calling for $11 here on COSM. And you get another request here. Ion from the chat. Could you please explain dark pools? I'll be honest. I've looked into dark pools. I've read about dark pools. I understand some of it, but I really do not incorporate this in my trading at all. Would you be able to kind of explain what information you get from looking at dark pool information?
I mean, I'm not a professor. I'm more of a conspiracy theorist. So when I look at the dark pools, I look at a place where there's trades. That, by the way. There's trades that are going on that shouldn't be going on somewhere else in another exchange. An exchange that I believe should be right here in front of us. I think everything should be right here. Okay. That's just my opinion. It's happening over here, and they're big block trades. They're block trades that help makes it easier for these people making their blocks to not have all those reactions within price when they're trying to put those trades on here, right? So they get maybe a better price. But seeing what they're doing over there, though, is more what I'm looking at. Like, if they are buying and the buying is heavy, or selling and selling is heavy, that's going to change what I'm thinking just a little bit, or at least put my spidey sense. I don't know what you want to call it, man. But whenever it's working really high, if I know there's a lot of selling going on over there, I'm going to still look for that to kick in here, or think, what does that mean? Because sometimes selling doesn't mean what you think it does, and buying doesn't mean what it. Like, for every buyer, there's a seller, and with options, if somebody. You're like, oh, there's a lot of buying here, but then what is happening on the other side. Somebody's also writing those options.
Yeah, and that's it for me. Like I'm a lot of times when I'm trying to make tactical trades, I'm trying to make decisions based off the flow that I'm seeing in front of me. And to me, a dark pool print just kind of complicates that, right? It's from a different time, it's from a different place. Oh, sounds like we're setting up a fantasy show here, but in any case, yeah, I don't use a whole lot of them. I know that there are people out there that are extremely good at using that information. For me, it's never really been something that I've used in my trading. Real quick here, another shout out, MDGL. This thing really going crazy here this morning. Trading up. The first move was down. First move, definitely some profit taking, but really hasn't looked back from there. We are at 230 here. So MDGL making a big move here. Remember, one of the things that I'm looking at is going to be, where does this candle actually stop? So we've broken through that 221 high that we identified here before. Question is going to be, where does this stop? I'm going to go ahead and redraw the line there, and I'm going to wait for a potential floating island. For me to trade this for a floating island, I would want to use options. So I'm really going to need the CBOE to add some more strikes here for this particular name. We'll see how long it takes for the strikes to get added, and then also if we do actually have a floating island set up here. Now, in the time of explaining that, it looks like COSM is reversing a little bit here. Make sure my cats are not murdering my birds real quick. Okay,
so we got that perfect
quiet on the Western Front, Andy. We're in good shape.
So perfect 65 rejection on the 5 minute here. This is why I love the 5 minute and the 65 and the Bollinger Bands. And like I said, with the 200, when you're speaking 65, if you don't have a 200, you're not seeing the full picture.
Yeah, Yon, this is actually, I was literally thinking this while he typed it. Yon saying COSM rejected. I'm adding the 65 day now. I'm sold. So Yon, this is actually what you're describing here is a process that I go through all of the time. Whenever I'm talking to other traders, whether it's friends like Andy or mentors or just acquaintances that I have. There's a reason that people are very, very into the specific indicators that they look at. Like for me, there's a reason why I draw these price levels and why I try to trade those breaks. I see those levels in play all of the time, and I see potential trades when those levels break in a predictable fashion. Well, the same is true here for indicators. And I've tried a number of different moving averages. I mean, I was a guy that I had like 8 simple moving averages across a lot of my different charts, and I'd watch different time frames and the moving averages, et cetera, et cetera. But I've really kind of pared those back to ones that seem actionable. And I'll be honest, Andy, you were the first person that I heard that mentioned the 65 EMA. And you had talked about it on, trading SPY and how you actually trade it on SPY and all of that. And I was just fascinated by it. Here we go. We're seeing another situation where the 65 EMA has really proven to be a level that is in play here. COSM has no relation to the SPY, at all. Yet the 65 EMA doing a really good job of showing you a potential stopping point here.
Well, I originally found this by trading penny stocks. That's where I originally found it, and then I found that it applies everywhere. I don't use the 10 minute, but I have heard the 10 minute is great to watch. I believe with the 10 SMA. Like riding the 10 SMA. So that's something that I keep meaning to put on my charts anyways. But no, I slapped it on here with penny stocks, and then I did something even crazier. I didn't want these things. I didn't want anything in my charts, but I started playing around with what is price respecting. And then I just kept changing it and putting it on there, changing it and putting it on there until finally I'm like, it just seems to always be respecting this. I started clicking through all these charts active, and it was really active at that time. So it gave me a lot of good data, and it just kept on working out, And then I said, I'm going to go try the 15-second chart, which is ridiculous because I don't even like the 1 minute or the 2 minute chart. They're giving me false signals and all this. And then I realized that the 65 EMA on the 15-second chart, instead of looking for like the entries and I'm going to trade off that, it shows me what momentum, where we're at. If we're riding, if you've not seen the 65 EMA in a penny stock on the 15 second, when we're riding it the whole day, or the SPY even, when we're going down, we reject that 65 the whole day. And when we break through the 65, we'll go straight to the 200, but then we'll reject. Then we'll come up and we'll hit 365, and then we'll reject all the way back down, break below 65, continue to a lower low. And it happens day after day after day.
Yeah, I haven't even messed with those second chart yet. There are a couple of people that talk about those second charts, 30-second, 15-second charts. Haven't even ventured into that water yet. Really quick here on MDGL, I want to clear something up here. Oliver saying MDGL, you would go short, correct, Ryan? No, that is not correct. So first of all, I think what you're referring to, let me just make sure that we're clear here. I think what you're referring to is a potential trade off of this candle. So the trade setup or the trade plan that I'm trying to execute here is based off of what I call a floating island. And again, this is a strategy that I learned from someone that has much more experience, 10x experience trading than I do. And so the floating island is basically looking at this candle. So I need this candle to finish. First of all, that's a key takeaway. I need today to finish so that I have an idea of what this candle looks like in its totality. Right now, it looks like a super bullish candle, high at 229. Let's see where the candle is when the day finishes. That's going to give us the best possible information. Now, if I take the trade, what I'm actually taking the trade for is a resolution to the upside, meaning like, let's just say that this is the range for the candle today. Okay. Let's say the day's over and the high here was 229 on this candle. What I'd be looking for is over the next several days, I'd be looking for the stock to kind of come down. And to just borrow some of the parlance from OG trades from earlier, I'd be looking for this to stay inside this candle, right? I want to see some of these down days remain inside this candle and then bottom out as close as possible to 192. It's worth noting that not like everything in the market, nothing is 100%. So you're not necessarily just going to go down to that 192.77. You might actually stop coming back in above that level. It might actually go beneath that level and then curl back up. All things to take a look at. But what I would be looking for is a back test and hold of that level, and then a nice curl back up towards the top of the candle. Because what's happening here is, in fact, price discovery, right? You had a big catalyst. You had a big piece of news come out with the NASH trial and the liver fibrosis trial here. The market is reacting to that, and then price discovery is happening, right? We've got new information, so we're getting the knee-jerk reaction. As that gets processed, the price is going to discover the level it should actually be at. And my hope here is that we actually come in a little bit, remain strong so that we curl back to the upside. It's that motion that I would be trying to capture with the swing trade. So I want to move back to the upside, and then ideally for the second half of the trade, I'd like to see that upside level, whatever that number is, actually get broken and then sell it there. Furthermore, if I traded this, I would try to use options, which is why I was telling you I want to get some more strikes in here, because right now the highest option contract is the 120 contract, and it has an ask of 113.40. That's not something I'm going to trade. That's way too expensive. I want to have some more reasonably priced contracts. We are going to have some pretty high implied volatility. Implied volatility on these contracts now is 159%. So we'll see what happens if some more strikes get added. But no, what I would be waiting for is a move back in and then a curl back towards the top. That's what I would be playing for.
Well, one thing I would like to say about penny stocks too is I like to really look at who's trapped, you know? And as you can see on the 5 minute for what is a COSM, you know, we held within this little tight range. We dropped off this nice little cliffhanger, and then we're getting that rejection right at the support of that previous consolidation, I guess you can call it, right?
I'm sorry, Andy. I looked away there. I totally missed that.
I'm just saying, if you look at the 5 minute on COSM, you know, we came down, we pulled back, and when we were tight throughout that whole thing, then we dropped off. And when we dropped off and we started seeing that strength out of the halt, it rejected right at the support of the consolidation there.
And now, so rejected right at that 65 EMA. Now what it looks like it's doing is it actually looks like it's trying to use that 10 as support. So remember, for most of the morning here, in fact, if I go to the 1 minute chart, this might be a little bit more clear. It is. What we used 10 as resistance for a majority of the morning here. And now that we've actually punched through that 10 and come back, now we're trying to use it as support. It'll be interesting to see where this settles here. Remember, the thicker blue line here is going to be that 65 EMA. This is on the 1 minute chart, so it's not showing us the same thing it showed us on the 5 minute chart. But this blue line here, this light blue line here, this is actually going to be the 200 EMA. So I'd actually clean these up a little bit.
One thing to keep in mind with penny stocks, I think, is they get a little meaner after market open. So I do highly consider the pre-market data on this as well.
Crow giving us a nice shout here. Crow, really appreciate the assist here today. You're helping out an absolute ton. Thank you very much for your participation. Saying VLTX curling. Oh, you know what? I brought up the wrong stock here. So real quick, let's just talk about it. VKTX here holding above VWAP. One of the things we'd like to see here is a 675 break. It's worth noting that the 2 times that we've actually broken that 675 here today, we immediately pulled back. So the upside range here on that range break not working. It'll be interesting to see if it does in fact work that 3rd time around. Only time will tell. VLTX, I think you gave no, you corrected the ticker here. I highlighted the wrong one. Okay, so you're saying VKTX is curling. So you're looking for the same thing that we just talked about here, right? You're looking for this curl right off here. Great that we're holding above VWAP. And then you're saying shorts about to feel the pain. So what you're hoping for here is a break. Looks like we actually got a break beneath there. Interesting. So battle is on here on VKTX. No position here on VKTX myself. Just kind of going through what the chat sees here. Quantum, good to see you here this morning. QQQ with the cross over the 3-minute. If SPY crosses over 2, markets may fall further. Let's take a look at the SPY here.
I'm looking for some potential support here at basically right where we're at. This is pretty thin support, so I'm not really banking on this. No, what I was saying about the COSM is back on the 16th, we're in some pain from that day. And then we have some more pain that came in on the 19th, so actually, yeah, that was pre-market.
SPY, we are breaking down here. Looks like SPY wants to kind of go retest these lows. And let me just give my opinion here on the SPY. We talk about the SPY quite a bit. This is actually one of the things that we really focus on in the happy hour show, which is at the end of the day here. We focus on what did the SPY do? Where is the SPY going? Got a lot of people that trade SPY, a lot of people that chart SPY, and as you know, a lot of people watch the SPY and along with what they're trading here. This trend line here really seems to have remained intact, right? We're clearly, even with this break above, and what drawing did I have on there? Looks like I just had a white line on there. Let me clear that off here. We did break above very briefly. It looks like we are returning here. To me, I do think we get another 350 test. My thought here on the downside action was that we're probably going to bottom Q1 early next year. I wouldn't be surprised, given some of the down moves that we've had recently, if now that we're getting closer to Christmas, maybe we get that bounce and maybe we get that Santa Claus rally on that week after Christmas, or maybe even that first week into the new year, especially if there are inflows into IRAs on the 2nd or 3rd of the month, whenever the market is open when we come back here. We shall see. I think it is Jan 3. So we'll see. We'll see where we go here. My gut tells me that we retest this 350. I wouldn't be shocked to see us come back to the pre-pandemic high. That puts us at 340 on the SPY. There are some people calling for a test of 280 on the SPY. It's 100 points of downside from where we're at. Not sure if we see that. But anyway, I do think 350 test on deck to the downside, due up next year. However, I think that the recent sell-off has really kind of set us up for a short-term Santa Claus rally, so it'll be interesting to see if we end up getting that. Chat is asking for us to take a look at Tesla. Let's go do it.
Ford and Tesla not looking so good. Ford looking even worse.
Oh, man. So Tesla, so we were up here. My suspicion, Andy, was that we were up in the pre-market on some of this news about Elon offering to step down via a Twitter poll. At least he's making it seem that way. Unsure if it's gonna hold. But boy, oh boy, we've really kind of given back a lot of those gains, haven't we? Any of that good grace that we were up here in the pre-market, we have now given back.
Ryan, do you pay attention to where shorts and where longs are being held out of profit?
I don't think so.
That's I guess because
I was going to say if I don't know off the top of my head, I would say no.
Generally, I guess basically just from feeling the pain myself, that's what I'm looking for. Like, who's in pain and where are they in pain?
So okay. So now that you rephrase it that way, yes, absolutely. Like, for example, if someone's continually selling the same asset over and over and over again, eventually we got to bounce. And if we get a technical roadmap in order to play that bounce, sure, I'll take a look at that.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to be hopeful on the COSM though. I'm trying to look at the flow here and just I believe that it's the little engine that could possibly, but then like looking at that pain I was telling you about, you look left and we're being held under. A lot of people are probably bag holders in this.
Would you be able to explain how you identify that? Yon from the chat here is asking.
I mean, I'm just looking at the spike where we reached what 2360-ish over on the 16th, I think, and then early in the pre-market, I think what time was this? 4:45, and we reached what 1803 or no 1780 or something, and so basically we dropped off pretty quick from there, and then we just sort of held flat, not doing anything. So we weren't trying to give the longs back any money, and then if more longs were trying to get in here. Right before market open, we dumped off again off of this 1266 all the way down to what 8? Jesus, it's 823, man. Yeah, the low is 896. So we dropped from 999 to 826 or 896. Sorry, but I'm just looking for where this thing dropped off and who's in there and what could have happened to make that move occur. Because when I try to
identify those spots, but I'm hit or miss on that.
Yeah, when I touch these, I know what happens to me. Sometimes, especially in Pennyland, it'll just drop as fast as I touched it. So then I'm assuming that when it dropped off with this big demon drop candle pre-market right before market open here, that somebody grabbed it long right before that happened. It happens to me, it's happening to other people, right?
And it will keep happening. Can you check Wells Fargo? Actually, Andy, if you can do some charting here on Wells Fargo, I just heard a crash in my other room. Let me go make sure everything is okay.
You guys, I really have. Hold on, let me put this up on my charts here. I like that we consolidated on Wells Fargo and we continued higher, and then we're back into this consolidation that's holding its support right at the previous resistance. So those are the trades that I really like to take, and I'm not looking for a target back up the highs. I usually would look at the target rate about where we're at, take off partial profit or something. It looks like we might actually go back up to the highs, and I see that I have this new VWAP, guys, and it has like an upper and a lower, and it's, I don't know, all types of fun, but I have that all the way up here at 4193. And COSM is again rejecting off the 65, but this time it is dropping off the 65 on the 15 second. And that, if it doesn't resolve itself quickly here and hold right about this 997 and work its way back up, that's usually the kiss of death. And we would just anticipate this thing dropping off a little lower. Guys, I'm not putting on any trades today. I'm just kind of chilling, looking at charts. If I wasn't coming on here today, I would have been probably walking the beach or doing something else other than trading, because this market just is not giving me the best signals. And if there's no setup, no trade, I've heard many people say it. CACO. Oh, yeah. So when I look at something like CACO, we dropped off on the daily hard. I don't know what news came up on that. I can pull that up on Pro. Oh, sorry, guys. I have myself muted. But one of the things the first things I noticed on CACO is the volume is really thin. We only got 297,000 traded, down 2.14% right now. It looks like we might be getting a VWAP rejection, maybe popping up a shadow right there, and then real body rest right under this VWAP.
So yes, there was a crash in the other room. Aaron, I'm glad to see you. I'm sorry about that. cat knocked over a lamp again. So that's twice now in the last week that lamp has seen its demise at the hand of Buddy. So I apologize for leaving you like that.
Well, hopefully
Order
next
flow
time.
says
Hopefully next time Buddy goes for that Blackhawks banner or any other Chicago sports memorabilia that you have up.
Well, that's very nice of you, Aaron. But here's the thing. If Buddy did go for that, it would be in this room and I wouldn't have to leave you folks in a hurry. That would be okay with me. I'd be able to stop that.
Yeah, let me see if I've got any like Cardinals gear that Buddy might be.
No. We you know what? Just kidding, Aaron Bree. We don't need Cardinals gear up in here.
Well, wait,
good to see you, Aaron.
Say again?
Good to see you, Mr. Andy, as well.
Andy helping out.
Yeah, shout out Andy. Andy with Mighty Soldiers hopping on with us this Monday on Live Trading. Yeah, Becca, go Cards. What happened to Money Mitch? Money Mitch is alive and well. In fact, he's just celebrating his birthday today. So if you want to go to Twitter or wherever and wish Mitch a happy birthday, please do so. I think yesterday was actually his birthday, so today's the day after. But
it's being celebrated today. It's being observed today, even though it was yesterday.
Correct. Just like how in 2 weeks, Ryan, on Monday the 2nd, it will be New Year's Day on Wall Street. I know that's confusing. The 2nd this year is actually New Year's Day. Not real well in terms of the market.
Aaron Bree, isn't the same thing happening this next week too? Isn't Christmas, which is on Sunday, observed on Monday the 26th?
Maybe. I didn't know that, but sure.
I believe that it is.
A great segue there.
I believe that it is. Let's check VKTX here real quick.
I was
looks like
going to
this
ask
is
Andy
breaking down here.
or to you, Ryan, too. Like, do you guys notice any? I know like volume and volatility is usually a little bit lower. Do you guys notice anything else typically when we go into these like shortened weeks, holiday weeks?
Yeah. So the holiday weeks have, as long as I've been trading, holiday weeks have, since they're lighter, they often produce some of these crazy moves in some of these smaller names. In fact, this really got started around the Thanksgiving week that is shortened from holidays. It ended up getting the moniker on FinTwit Turkey Crack Week because some of these crazy smaller plays would end up going ballistic. Well, the same thing happens around the Christmas holiday as well. A lot of people on vacation, not as many market participants as normal, so you're able to actually move some of these smaller stocks around. Now, I haven't seen any of that yet here, but it is only Monday, so we'll see where we end up going. But yeah, absolutely. Definitely some wild things happening around some of these holidays, especially when the volumes are lighter and the trading sessions are reduced.
And for me, no matter what's really going on, I like to treat it more as a Friday, which means I'm gonna increase my tighten up my risk a little bit. You know, I'm gonna expect the worst.
Tighten up the risk. Yeah, you hear that a lot around the holidays. I think a lot of times when you have these like events, people are a lot of times they're just all kind of sitting on their hands, waiting until they say, okay, well, if I was looking at this trade, but might as well wait till after Christmas at this point, or wait till the new year at this point. But I guess one thing I've kind of noticed is that I think a lot of times on these expected days where you do have low volume or low volatility doesn't necessarily mean like the market's going lower or higher. Like I've seen times where, because when you have a lot of volume, right? If you think about when there's a lot of volume in the market, there's more sellers and buyers. So there's more, trades getting matched at different prices. When there's less volume, if the sentiment is say strong that day, and then there's not a lot of sellers at all, like the market could go up 2% that day on a low volume day. So there's even in times where there's typically like low volatility and low volume, it's still a risky game out there in the market and crazy things can happen.
And that's why, that's why it's important to always have a plan, no matter what, for both sides, right? If you're going to trade in a time where the volatility might be increased, or there just might not be as many sensible moves around, protect yourself, have a plan. Like Andy was saying, he tightens up his stops on things like that. That's a perfectly good move to do when you're trading in an environment that isn't the norm.
And absolutely look at alternative thesis. Look to what whoever would be taking the opposite side of that trade. Think about what they would be thinking at that moment as well. And that's what you just said, but I just said it in a different way there.
Ron is saying, how about MDGL? MDGL, this really the big newsprint of the day here. If you had MDGL, it is time to ring that cash register. because boy, oh boy, huge move here today. And you know what, Ron? I think the thing that's the craziest about this particular move is that we continue to push higher, have another leg up here. So up now 260% plus $166 on this name here after the primary endpoints in NASH and liver fibrosis trials. So just an absolute monster move. And you will, or if you flip to the day chart or even the weekly chart here, you can actually derive some of the next levels up here by looking at where this was here in the past. Remember, I'm going to try to play this for a potential floating island setup, but we need today to finish in order to come up with those levels. Looking at the weekly chart here, we can see where the stock has been in the past. So you can kind of get an idea of where it might be going next.
Hey, Ryan, if you don't mind me going with one of my conspiracy theories here, that this small incremental moves up, I'm just thinking that somebody is in there short and maybe they're adding to their position and the pain's just getting heavier and heavier for them.
Well, I mean, at some point they're going to have to capitulate, aren't there? Because I mean, if that pain, like we talk about Ron here, Ron said he took it at the open, took MDGL at the open. So you probably took this around $200. Ron, you're up 27 points right now. I can't imagine being short that same amount and then adding to that short as it continues to go up. To me, that just seems like a way to really inflict a lot of pain on yourself. We'll see if it ends up plunging. We'll see if it ends up reversing.
I think it just depends on how small you start your position and how much how much you
add to it, how much pain you can actually take.
Right.
Taking a look here, BYSI really rejected at that 280, hasn't really made it back there at all. Doesn't seem like that's in play. COSM really starting to trade sideways now. VKTX coming back down towards that 6 line.
We just dropped below real body here on the SPY as well on the 15-minute.
Let me actually bring the SPY up here. It seems like volumes are kind of drying up across the board here.
Yeah, well, I'm watching right here. Just what I'd be watching right here is just to see if we make new lows on the day, which it looks like we are about to. If not, we have already. Not great, Bob. Not a great sign, but yeah, Ryan, Andy. I don't know how long you guys were planning on going, but just whenever you guys want me to, I can go ahead and take it over.
Yeah,
I know you guys
I'm ready here. I am. It is Monday, so I'm going to get back to the support stuff. Andy, I just got to say, I can't thank you enough for hopping on here. I know it was fairly last minute. We asked you over the weekend here. You've been so gracious with your time. Really appreciate it. Great educational stuff here. Got a nice little spice of the strat. I got some 65 EMA trading in here. So awesome stuff here today. Cannot thank you enough. You're welcome back anytime. Folks out there, I hope that you had fun today. Don't worry. We said it earlier. Mitch and Zunaid will both be back. They're doing good, but with the Christmas holiday here, we've got some other obligations going on. So again, Andy, thanks so much for stopping by. Really appreciate it. Aaron, thank you for taking over here and moving us along. I'm going to get back to some of the support stuff. Stay green, stay safe. We will see you tomorrow.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys. Give me a chance to wear this stuff. So anyways, keep it festive, right? Have a good day. See you guys.
Take care, guys.
Thank you again, Andy. We've got Andy's Twitter in the chat as well, at Mighty Soldiers. If you guys want to go check Andy out, let me go ahead and get my Benzinga Pro pulled up. We can go through, just the overall indices. And let me go ahead, switch over to Benzinga Live, play that intro, and we'll be right back.
This is Benzinga Live. Spencer Israel and producer AB. What's up, everybody? How we doing?
Someone told me buy high, sell higher.
Let's get Matt Hammond on the show, talk some IPOs. Jake Wujasek from Trend Spider. We have a breaking news.
All right, what is up, y'all? Welcome back to Benzinga Live. Happy Monday, everybody. As you can see, a little different setup today, not in the office at Benzinga HQ in Detroit. Unfortunately, I'm back home in St. Louis. Well, that's not unfortunate. I'm happy to be back home. Back home in St. Louis right now for the week. So we might have a little bit of a different schedule this week in terms of the shows, the streams. In fact, even today might have a little bit of an abridged version of the show, which honestly might be okay just because it doesn't seem like there's that much going on. Big news of the day we talked about during pre-market prep was Tesla and the Twitter news. And if something happens there, like if we end the stream and Elon comes out and says he's stepping down from Twitter and Tesla or something, we'll come back on. We'll come back live and talk about it. But as of now, I mean, it's expected that Elon's supposed to step down from Twitter. It seems like Tesla's still selling off. People were saying on Twitter last night that if that happened, if the poll went that way, that if it looked like Elon was stepping down, Twitter would be up $20 today. Not happening, down $2. That would scare the hell out of me if I were long Tesla here. I'm actually not. I thought Spencer was back. I would wish too, but I wonder how Spencer's doing. But actually, I think Spencer's doing well. I talked to him pretty recently. But anyway, yeah, guys. I mean, outside of Tesla, we just talked about MDGL or whatever that biotech mover is. Honestly, I don't really have a lot of insight to give you guys here, just because I don't really like to speak about the fundamentals on these biotechs a lot, because I'm not an expert when it comes to the medicine part of, this drug or NASH or liver fibrosis. But I wouldn't be out here buying this up 250%. That doesn't mean I would go short it. I certainly wouldn't do that. So I don't know. I mean, from a technical standpoint, you can see this gap kind of getting filled to the upside. Looks like you may have room to run, but essentially anytime you're buying a stock that's up 250% on a day, just know it's an absolute gamble. So yeah, let's take some tickers from the chat. EDU, I see that one. We'll take some tickers from the chat, but like I said, we might just, oh yeah, I mean, I don't know. Okay, so this is one of the China names. Okay, so I remember when this one actually IPO. No, not IPO, because it's been around for a while. All right, there's a different one. I'm thinking of EEIQ. But anyway, this is a Chinese education name. And if you guys remember, a couple of years ago, maybe like a year and a half ago, China announced that education should not be for profit. And it just, I mean, you can see what happened in the stocks here. They literally said the whole industry shouldn't be for profit. You shouldn't be able to, companies in China are not going to be able to profit off of education anymore. And there's a couple different things. Like I have thoughts on that, because when it happened, and part of it is like, oh my God, the Chinese government is cracking down on all these free markets, whatever. I honestly, personally, like, you can say that's authoritarian, not capitalism, whatever you want. I think that's a fine. I mean, like we have so many problems here with, universities being $40,000, even public ones. Like I went to University of Missouri, even that's expensive. Like I wouldn't go as far as China did. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that companies shouldn't be running as like a public company that is not sole purpose, but bottom line is to try to increase shareholders' value. That to me is not what the mission of an educational company should be, is not to increase value to the shareholders. It should be other stuff. But that's neither here nor there. I think, the stock, I don't know what's going on there. I guess it's operating out of the Cayman Islands and not necessarily China. Maybe they're trying to find a way to still profit somehow. I don't know. I wouldn't be buying it. I think there are other China names I would buy over it. I would just go BABA or like CQQQ or KWeb if you really wanted Chinese exposure. I wouldn't go in the one industry in China they're cracking down on even more. Apple looking weak. Yeah, we talked about that this morning. Ryan and Andy, great session. Agreed. But yeah, these things that Joel, Dennis, and I talked about this morning, I think, you got to be cognizant of. I have been generally remain pretty steady in terms of my outlook, and that I was bullish, not as essentially not as bad as I think people out there were making things out to be. But I think you have to now be looking at certain signs that you're seeing, whether it's in the XLE, the XLF, the 10-year yield, and just seeing, okay, maybe, the dollar getting weaker, that people are positioning for, for tough 2023, and we'll see. My outlook really hasn't changed that much, but again, you have to be, looking at this stuff, and I'm aware of that. Yeah, shout out D Factor in the chat. Yeah, no, not quite David Wilson. Go drop mine. Let's see. So we were supposed to have Jake Wojacek from TrendSpider join us. I don't think he's able to make it anymore. So again, if anyone's got any trades or stocks they want to check out in the chat, drop them right now. So we might just wrap up the show a little early today and VIPS. Let's take a look at that. I'm not really familiar with this. VIP Shop Holdings. All right, so it looks like, is this a SPAC? No, it's a Chinese company, offers branded products to consumers in China. Yeah, I mean, oh, whoa, holy shit. Wait, is this real? Something's not adding up here. I don't know what's going on here, Lloyd, but this is interesting because I mean, there's obviously, so I don't know, because if I'm looking at the income statement right now, I'm looking at 21 bill in revenue, 24 bill in revenue, 25 bill in revenue. So literally like in the 20s of billions of dollars of revenue, but yet the market cap is only 8 billion. Like something's not adding up there. And I understand maybe they have a lot of debt or like there's a high cost to that revenue, but it still seems like a low market cap for that much revenue. And honestly, like a lot of people might look at that and think like, oh my God, the market's missing something. It's super cheap. Like now's a great time to buy it. I look at that and I'm thinking like, all right, there's something going on here. There's a reason essentially. I don't know what that reason is. This is my first time ever looking at it. It's very interesting that that's the case on it, but I don't know if I really have any takeaways from that without doing more DD and looking in on it. We'll look at BBWY is Bed Bath and Body Works. I mean, this one, I'd rather buy this than Bed Bath and Beyond. I'll tell you that much. But I still think it got, obviously swept up with this COVID stock craze. Probably got, way overextended. We sold off down here at 25, probably a little too much. Chart looking ugly. Looks like it would probably, I wouldn't want to get long this until you at least get down probably closer to the mid 30s. Going over to ELF. I've talked about ELF and Ulta a number of times on the show. I mean, these stocks have just been so strong in the cosmetic space, like making new all-time highs when everything else isn't. Wow, Ulta is really selling off. So I would actually look at Ulta selling off here and say like, okay. And I do think it kind of makes sense because if the thing is people worry about a recession, Ulta is the more kind of premium brand. So maybe people that shop at Ulta would now be buying ELF because it's a little cheaper. But I would still expect ELF to kind of trade with Ulta and get a little sell off here at some point. I mean, it's still at its all-time high, still probably a little overextended. It's expensive too because it's a company that's grown a lot, so you're paying for that growth essentially. I don't think it's so expensive that I wouldn't touch it or wouldn't own it for the long term. But right here, right now, I would not want to go long this, and I would almost even be incentivized looking at this chart to potentially try to play it on the downside with some out of the money puts or something, because it does kind of look like you're running out of steam up here and have a gap to fill on the downside. But DKNG DraftKings, yeah, I gotta say I've been getting, and this is someone as a big like user of honestly DraftKings is like my go-to sports gambling app. It's the one that I use when I'm in Michigan. It's not legal here in Missouri, but I've just been getting more and more bearish the space. I think people, I've been seeing more like call outs to, so here's where I stand on it. I don't think that legal gambling is a problem in its existence. And it's partly because one of those things where it's like people are going to do it anyway. Do you want the state to either regulate it or not? Do you want the state to either make some money off of it that can go to roads, that can go to schools or not? And again, people are going to do it anyway. So there are benefits to regulating it as well, primarily with betting being that when people are betting off when it's not legal, you can do so with credit. So you can say, okay, I'm going to bet $500 on this game, whether or not you have $500 or not. You lose the money, you just got to find a way to pay your bookie. With the apps, you got to deposit money with the credit card. So you truly can't bet with money that you don't have. That's one benefit to it. But here's the problem, and what we've seen, and the problem that has arisen and being called out right now. It's just the advertising marketing problem. I mean, it's gotten annoying to just see, a sports gambling commercial on every single commercial break on anything you're watching now on TV ever. That's part of it. And part of it too is it's like predatory in the same sense that a lot of the crypto marketing and promotions probably were, in the sense that trying to sell people on an idea of, get rich quick, hit this big bet, hit this parlay, free same game parlay, buy this crypto coin. It's just it's fine in a sense, but when a lot of people buy into it and a lot of people lose money, which I'd venture to guess most DraftKings users have lost money, or most FanDuel users have lost money, it's not sustainable to me long term. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some regulations in terms of at least just advertising and promotions, which in the long run might actually help these stocks, because it might help their margins if they're saying, okay, now you just got to operate as a profitable business without spending all this money on advertising and revenue. And I don't think the sports gambling industry is really going anywhere. There's been a lot of money pumped into the lobbying and everything to get those laws passed. So it's not I don't think they're going to just turn around and make sports gambling illegal again. I just think we might see some fallout from some of the bad things coming from that industry very quickly. And it's kind of always how it happens, whether you're looking at gambling, crypto, whatever it is. Essentially, anytime you have a new industry that's growing, right, the regulations aren't going to come until you know where you need them, right? They didn't put seatbelts in the first cars until people started flying out of their cars and they put seatbelts in. Same thing, they're not going to say no advertising to gambling until one too many kids gets opens a DraftKings account because they saw a commercial, and now next thing you know, they don't have any money. And I'm not even really talking about the stock here. I think just overall the industry, people, from what I've seen, again, this is just anecdotal, no data or anything. I think I've seen more and more critics pop up of the legal gambling industry. I think from a stock perspective, if you were super bullish the industry, you were super bullish DraftKings, and you wanted to buy some shares down here for the long term, I think you could, just based on how much the stock is down, but only if you know you're doing so. Buying DraftKings stock right here is the same thing as going on DraftKings and placing a bet, because you don't know where this thing's going. You don't know where the industry is going. But if you're willing to take on that risk, you're willing to take on that risk. And I'm not going to tell you not to. There were haters of the internet.com industry in 2000, and people still bought those stocks, and if you bought the right ones, ended up okay over time. Yeah, Tesla Q. Sure, Adam. If you want to come on the show, email us shows@benzinga.com. Today, probably not a great day because, like I said, we might just wrap up the show a little early today. Just because there's not really a lot going on in the markets. I've got obviously kind of my makeshift setup today. So and then here, I'll drop my Twitter in the chat. And if anything crazy happens, right, if Elon steps down from Tesla or Twitter, someone ping me on Twitter, and I'll hop back on and we can start streaming again. Alrighty, y'all. Let's go to Benzinga homepage real quick, just to hit kind of some of the big other big headlines of the day. Sam Bankman-Fried essentially going to be extradited to the United States, I believe, today. I saw something about Binance and Voyager. Let's check that story out. Binance agrees to buy Voyager's assets for $1 billion. That's good news for anyone that had money tied up in Voyager. You'll probably be getting some sort of thing back. I don't know what percentage wise or what, but I don't know. At least deals are still happening in the crypto industry, right? It's not like they're marking these assets off to zero. So that's good to see. How's Coinbase doing, by the way? Let's go back to Benzinga Pro and check that out. Yeah, Adam, just hit us a email on shows@Benzinga and we'll get you on the show. But yeah, guys, hope you guys understand. Just probably going to be a little bit of a different schedule this week. Should be back to normal tomorrow on Benzinga Live and for the rest of the week. But today, I've got some stuff going on here at home, so just going to take off a little bit earlier. What were we going to look at before we left? Coinbase. Oh, man. I mean, yeah. I'd run as fast as you could if I were in Coinbase right now. I mean, it'll probably get a bounce. Like, you know, things usually don't go straight down, but I just like, look, literally, I really do think this is true. I think the next like catalyst for crypto and Bitcoin is the Fed cutting rates, which we just heard 3 days ago, or from Jerome Powell last Wednesday, that's not going to come for a while. So I wouldn't want to be invested or touching any of these crypto things at all right now. That's just me personally, not investment advice. Here for informational and educational purposes only. All righty, y'all. Like I said, I don't think we'll be back for pre-market prep at the close today, but I could be wrong. So just come back, check out the channel later at 3:30. Otherwise, we'll be back tomorrow. Till then, stay green. Like I said, hit me up on Twitter if anything crazy happens, and I'll hop back on live. That's a promise. If Elon Musk steps down as the CEO of Tesla, not Twitter. If he steps down as the CEO of Twitter, I don't care. That was already expectation. But if he steps down as the CEO of Tesla today, I'll hop back on and start streaming. Or if I don't know, something else crazy happens, just tweet at me. But all right, guys, appreciate y'all understanding. Doing a little weird schedule today. Again, back to normal tomorrow. Peace and love, y'all. Stay green if you're trading. As always, hit me up on Twitter at AaronBree5. Till then, till tomorrow. Peace.
This is Benzinga Live.